Ngā mihi nui, ngā mihi mahana, kia koutou katoa, acknowledgements and warm greetings to all of you. Welcome, and on behalf of the Human Rights Commission, it's an honour to welcome you to today to New Zealand's 12th Diversity Forum. I'd like to welcome our keynote speaker, Deng Adut from Sydney, Australia. And remember, Deng, we're on New Zealand time, not Australian time. We thank and welcome our sponsors. We welcome the Police Commissioner Mike Bush, UNESCO Chair Ian McKinnon, our co-host Te Papa Tongarewa, and of course Victoria's University Centre for Applied Cross-Cultural Research. I'd like to welcome and thank all our passionate presenters, many who have become friends in the last 3 years, and of course my esteemed colleagues, especially those who know who they are, who deserve to be thanked for today. I'd like to acknowledge our wonderful Lizzie Marvelly, another national treasure from Roto Vegas. Our theme today is Future Focus, Te Anga Whakamua. Today, as we fix our eyes on the horizon, like any navigator, we also keep an eye on where we have gone before. So we acknowledge the past as we plan for the future. This month, believe it or not, marks 67 years since we officially started calling ourselves New Zealanders. Before 1949, we were British citizens. Deciding what a New Zealander was has for the most part been defined by the media and social norms. This time last year, we were choosing whether or not to change our national flag. There was a lot of debate about our national identity. What was a New Zealander, and what was our national identity? I feel we sort of got the process around the wrong way, because before we can agree on a flag that represents us, we need to agree on our national identity. What is a New Zealander? As many of us know, some people have always been treated more like real New Zealanders than others. I was watching the news this week when a man with a very broad English accent was interviewed, and he was moaning about Asian migrants taking Kiwi jobs. And I'm sitting there thinking, here we go again. He's a migrant, he's a British migrant, but neither he, nor the media, or many other New Zealanders see him as that. This is the bias in our media that Māori New Zealanders already know very well, and it's not just the media. Ian Taylor, whose company pioneered digital technology for the America's Cup, remembers at school that when he was told off by teachers at school, they called him a Māori. But when he did brilliantly at school, he was told he wasn't a real Māori. This is the prejudice in our education system that remains in various forms today. All of these subtle and not so subtle incidents tell us throughout our lives whether or not we are real Kiwis. I was watching TV the other night, don't criticise me for this, when one of the women on The Real Housewives of Auckland, you've got to have some downtime, told another woman that she wasn't a real Kiwi. There's been many, many campaigns over the years that have talked about what it means to be a New Zealander. My belief is if we can't agree on what a New Zealander is, then we're never going to agree on what kind of flag represents us all. If we ask ourselves what a New Zealand is, we need to look at what New Zealand is. New Zealand is now one of the most ethnically diverse nations on this planet. New Zealand is also one of the most peaceful nations on earth. So a New Zealander is diverse. A New Zealander is peaceful, and a New Zealander is you and I. This is a New Zealander. I realise that if we're going to be looking at our national identity, then there is no better place to be here than at Te Papa. Te Papa is affectionately known as our place. When all New Zealanders feel like this country is indeed our place, then we will have truly found our New Zealand identity. Today we gather for New Zealand's 12th Diversity Forum. The forum began in 2004 after Jewish graves were desecrated, here at Makara Cemetery. Interfaith and community leaders gathered to celebrate diversity, and the first forum was held. 12 years later, we are still seeing Jewish New Zealanders facing the hatred that saw our forum began in the first place. Recently, we called out extremist neo-Nazis who wanted to wear their uniforms and to join a march against child abuse. My argument to them was, A uniform worn by the people who murdered 1.5 million children has no place in a march against child abuse. Other New Zealanders agreed with me, which makes a change, and so they did not end up marching with their swastikas that day. While overt racism is not as widespread here as it is in other countries around the world, we need to do everything we can to ensure it does not become the norm here. All of us have a responsibility to say, no, that is not how we do things here. That is not the kind of New Zealand we want, and that is not us. That brings us back to the question, what is a New Zealander? For me, a New Zealander is someone who stands up for others. We're battlers who go into bat for the vulnerable. We're the people who believe in giving everyone, and I mean everyone, a fair go. These are the things that we like to think we are. The important thing is we need to walk the talk, and now more than ever. This afternoon after lunch, we will start a very important journey. It's one that we aim to take the rest of our country on as well. New Zealand's first nationwide anti-racism campaign will be launched here today, and we will begin by asking New Zealanders to share their stories. We are in the best place on earth to launch this campaign, and Te Papa is a touchstone for telling the stories of our people with mana and with honesty. But my storytelling now is over. I spend a lot of my job speaking and talking, and today I'm not going to speak any further. So as we look to the future, we will hear the stories of some incredible people. We couldn't be at a better place for letting people tell their own stories. Kia ora, welcome, and thank you.